Michael Nagy here with Jiggy Jag TV and discoveringbands.com. And for everyone watching, if you share this video on my channel and help support the awesome bands I feature. And today I'm here with Eric Oberto. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Good, good. It's great to have you on. And you want to start off and let us know how you got into the whole Darkwave genre to begin with, music scene?
Yeah, I would say the best way to put that would be I kind of started like, I guess, in industrial music back in my first real band. I was 16 years old and I was getting snuck into nightclubs with everyone else in the band was like 21, 22, 24. And I'm this 16-year-old high school kid who was getting snuck into clubs. And that's kind of how it started. And then I learned how to write music and such. And so by 1994, I started Tungsten Coil, which was an industrial band I was in for like 15 years or something like that. So it kind of started in industrial, then kind of transformed into like industrial metal. And then I took a hiatus from music in my young 30s and went into the financial industry and had a hell of a run there and ended up starting my own company. And then I just got back into music as a solo artist and doing soundtracks and stuff and putting songs in films. And I just went the whole Darkwave route. It just made sense to me that I didn't want to incorporate all the different elements. I just liked the whole idea of doing straight synthesizer music in a Darkwave chassis.
And with your hiatus, what pushed you back into getting back into the whole music scene?
It's kind of a funny story. So I guess we have to go a little backstory then. So I have a condition called synesthesia where I like see sound and color and shape, and that's really how I learned to do music. Period, was just painting, color pictures basically in my mind, and so electronic music made total sense. And then while I was in the financial industry, I went deaf in my right ear with sudden sensory neural hearing loss, and so my ability to write music kind of disappeared, like almost permanently. And so I just gave up. I'm like, I'm never going to write music again. So like about 3 years went by, feeling sorry for myself. And then I decided to try to figure it out somehow. And finally went through, a number of different things and tools that should try to figure out a way to do it again. And then just when I was starting to figure it out, I met a guy at a bar, Chance Gibbs, and he said he did horror films. And I said, oh, cool. Well, if you ever want anyone to do any music for your horror films, let me know. And months went by and I never heard from the guy. So I figured that was done. And then he called me up one day and he said, hey, I know we talked about doing soundtrack stuff, but you act also, right? You're an actor. And I said, yeah, absolutely. Of course I am. Yeah, I'm an actor. So I was lying. And he said, well, don't take this the wrong way. I think you'd make a great demon in my film. And I said, that's fitting. Okay. So I ended up playing this demon, Asmodeus, in Amityville Cult, which just came out in Walmart. And so anyway, I was talking to him about the music for the film, and he's like, you want to do a song? And so that's how I ended up writing Darkness Never Lies, which is the first single I released as a solo artist here a couple months back. So it's kind of a weird way to get back in. I got back in through film as an actor to start doing music again, and had to have a deadline to push myself to really deliver and kind of stop sitting on my ass and get my shit together. That's it.
It's amazing all the random people you meet in life that bring you to different places. That's kind of wild how that happens.
It is. It's kind of an adventure, I think, and if you're sort of open to just letting things happen, I think a lot can come of that.
And tell us a little more about the song Darkness Never Lies.
Yeah, so the concept of the song originally was sort of just an idea I had in my mind about the lies we tell ourselves. We have that like voice inside our head that's telling us things we should and shouldn't do, and it's like human nature to sort of avoid that voice and ignore that voice and do the wrong stuff. And so at the end of life, basically, when true darkness happens, you have this like flashback moment of your life, and in that darkness, all the truth comes to light. I mean, there's nowhere to hide from yourself anymore in the darkness. So darkness never lies. So that sort of concept was in my mind. And then I got into the film, and I'm like, hey, this concept really kind of fits the darkness that Stan DeFeo's character in the movie has, and him confronting his past and then not wanting to face the reality of what was going on. And that's actually what, spoiler alert, does him in at the end. So it just kind of came together with just a thought I had randomly that I sort of applied to the film, and then just kind of kept going from there.
Awesome. What are you currently working on right now?
So a couple of things are coming up. So there's a remix of Darkness Never Lies that Eric Gustafson of Adoration Destroyed just did, and it is badass. I mean, him and I working together again is great, but he just killed it. It's awesome. He took this song, it's kind of a somber, slower paced song, and he turned it into a, dance club, DJ ready mix without being like, without being that shit. So that's great. That's coming up. So I'm working on a lyrical video for that, and I'm going to put that out as soon as the new year hatches. And then he and I got together again, and he just filmed with me a new music video for my next single, which is called Closer Than Ever Before. Chorus being closer than ever before, closer to the final closing door. I'm a very happy guy. I write about happy stuff. So we did this video, and we had like a 17-person crew out there. He and I co-directed it, him being the main director, and I was producing it, starring in it, and trying to corral 17 people in a 3-story building plus a rooftop with these steep staircases up and down for 15 hours. We shot 2 days worth of footage in one day in a 15-hour marathon till like 3-4 in the morning. But I'll tell you what, it came out awesome. We did all kinds of B-roll footage, because like my last video, I got to use scenes from the movie. Well, this time we didn't have that, so we sort of created our own movie scenes within the set as well to kind of do a story, which I think for him was probably his first time working on a highly conceptual piece like this. So we both had a blast. So he's mixing that down. He's editing that right now, and I hope to have that fairly soon, so I can do like a 1-2 hit to start the new year off. Darkness Never Lies, the remix, and then Closer Than Ever Before. Speaking of which, I've got Closer Than Ever Before in another film. So there's this movie, a Hollywood film called Malibu Horror Story that currently just won like 4 different best horror film awards in like 4 different festivals, like high profile ones. And my buddy Dustin Harris is actually the executive producer on that film. So I got the full credit scroll again for this new song, which is totally exciting. And what's funny is this is a much bigger budget. Amityville Cult was a very small, like micro, really small budget. This is like, like a $5 million film. So it's decent size, but it looks like a $10-15 million film from the quality. So I just love the film. So I actually got involved as an executive producer as well and put some money into the film because I think it's badass. And the funny thing is this. So they didn't have a main star in the film. They got some good actors, but no real name. And the new Halloween came out, and the guy who played Michael Myers is one of the creatures in this film. Wow. So now we've got a major star who just got famous overnight. And so this is going to be a theater release, whereas Amityville was a Walmart release and streaming. So this is his first theatrical film, my first. So it's kind of exciting.
Yeah, to have your music in that, that's really exciting.
Yeah, totally. And that guy, what's funny is Dustin Harris, I met him 1998 in Burbank, California. We were both working at Blockbuster Video. And he was an actor back then. And when he was doing his promo shots, I gave him some tungsten coil t-shirts. And so every dark character promo shot, he'd wear a tungsten coil t-shirt. And he was an actor back then. And he said, I'm going to make it famous in the movie industry. Watch me. And well, here he is about to do his first big film. And so we're going to collaborate after this. He called me last week, and I'm doing a movie that I'm writing the script for right now called Sleep. And he's going to collaborate with me. I'm busy. I'm excited.
Yeah. Sounds like you're doing a little bit of everything.
A little more than I can handle, but that's fine.
So you'd like to see the future would combine the acting and the music all together, maybe even do soundtracks for the movies and stuff like that?
Yeah. So funny you say that. I got a chance to do that. Shannon Hauk was the main cameraman on Darkness Never Lies, and he was second camera guy on Amityville Cult. Well, he and I have built up a huge friendship. We call each other Beavis and Butthead, and that's kind of our dynamic. And we had such a great time working together that he did a short film, or he did a sizzle reel for a film that's being shopped right now in Hollywood to become a bigger film, and it's called Severed. So he asked me to score the film. It's about 15 minutes, so I actually scored it. He loved it. He thought it was great. And the cool part is he asked me to be in the film. So I got to play, instead of a demon, I played Rob, the boyfriend. So if this thing gets picked up, I'll be acting in it. I'm going to write a song for it, and I'm scoring it. So that's really exciting. But at the same time, I'm writing a film called Sleep, it's kind of a twisted film about a character who has sleep deprivation, and he's an artist, and he doesn't sleep, and he drinks bourbon all day and coffee and smokes cloves one after the next, and he starts losing his mind. And I won't give away what happens, but I'm playing that character, and he hears voices in his head and sees things, and I'm the second character voice that he sees and hears, and I'm the third character as well. So I'm writing this thing, directing it, right? Going to produce it. And Shannon's going to do all the camera work, and then I'm going to score it. So to answer your question, I'm editing it as well. So yes and yes and yes. Because did you see Darkness Never Lies, the video?
Yeah.
So I did all that. That was Shannon did the camera work, and myself and my wife did everything else. And that's the first video I've ever even touched, and the first time I've used DaVinci Resolve, but it just kind of made sense. So I spent about 3 months on that, learning how to use it, and it came out pretty good, I think. So I'm kind of excited about the future, new skills.
I think it came out really well.
Thank you. I mean, I took it on and I was like, shit, I hope I can do this. I had no idea what I was doing, literally. But, I'm determined, I guess.
And tell us a little about more of this medical condition you have that allows you to make the music the way you do.
So synesthesia, it didn't start off as a good thing. So when I was a kid, I had this condition my whole life, I guess. But we hadn't diagnosed it. And I was also dyslexic, and we didn't diagnose this. My parents were, it was in a real good home situation. So we were sort of occupying space. So nobody really was checking in on me, is the best way I can say it. So I had no idea. So in school, I couldn't keep up with everybody else. I wasn't a good test taker. I couldn't comprehend reading well, math, none of it. So I pretty much was like, I'm the dumb kid, and so I was embarrassed and, just not good. So I became a troublemaker, basically. And then in my 20s, when I was in tungsten coil, I was just with my regular, general doctor you go see once a year. And he started asking me some questions about music, and I started telling him how I did it. And he's like, so you mean to tell me you don't read music, you don't really understand music theory, and how the hell are you doing it? So I explained it, and he said, you ever heard of a condition called synesthesia? I'm like, well, I heard of this band that was a side project of Frontline Assembly called Synesthesia with Bill Lieb and Reese Fulber. But that's about all I know. So he sent me to a specialist, and then we figured out what I had. And it turns out, I guess, that there's this end of the spectrum and this end, where some people will just see, when they hear a number, they'll see a color, like 9 is green and, 10 is red, something like that. Where I'm way over here, where it's like a second vision behind my eyes, where I see a complete moving 3-dimensional color drenched canvas that's being painted all the time. Even when your voice is speaking, I'm seeing it. So I just basically harnessed that into when I first heard electronic music. I think when I first heard I was not electronics. I had heard Gary Newman, in Cars and stuff, and Devo, but that didn't really. When I first heard 9 Inch Nails, Pretty Hate Machine, or Depeche Mode Violator, my mind just went crazy. And then I heard Nights Are Ebb joining the chant, and I'm like, whoa, the stuff that I was seeing, I was like, I gotta learn to do this, So luckily I had a friend who was about 5 years older than me who was into synthesizers, and he taught me to do it. So what started off as a big, problem that really kind of, I don't know what I was going to do. I figured I was going to be a janitor, you know what I mean? It kind of turned into this like greatest asset I had, that allowed me to do so much. And then if you fast forward to about 6 years ago, when I developed sudden sensory neural hearing loss in my ear, which that's just basically a virus attacked the nerve ending between my brain and my ear, and inflamed it, and then the circulation got cut off, and boom. So I felt it sort of pop when it happened, which is terrifying. I was sitting across from my wife, and one moment everything's fine. I got perfect hearing. I'm the guy that always handed out earplugs to everybody. Save your ears for better music. I used to always say that. And then one day I'm sitting there and pop, and like I felt this huge pressure in my head, and then it was gone, and it turned in from great hearing to this like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, sometimes with heavy tinnitus to this day, like right now. So it took that clear second vision I had and then turned it into like a poltergeist screen, from the movie, with like all the colors, kind of smushed together. Freaks me out to this day. So I learned how to use some different programs, like I'm using Ableton, but I used to use Reaper and Sonar and whatever. But I learned some programs that, visually show me where the stereo field is and different placements of sound and looking more at sound waves. And really kind of now I'm sort of hacking my way through it, because I don't have that wonderful gift I had before in the same way. It's still there, but it's challenged. So I have this device that you can amplify the left and the right side of your earphones. And so I took my hearing test, which is a big fail in this side, but you can see how badly it's failing on each frequency. And then I boosted the frequencies on the right side heavily. So it's tricking my brain to thinking that the correct information is there, even though it's not. And it clears up the picture, sort of. If you could picture, like, remember rabbit ears on top of an old television? And you move sort of like that. So now I can see enough of it to where I can tap into what I know about music and what's kind of built in now, and sort of make it work. And then if I'm writing, I'll turn to the side and put my good ear in the center and at least get an idea what's going on. It's a fucking bitch, to be honest. It sucks, but it's really made me very driven, to where I was taken for granted. And I think really when I first got into music, I was like, I want to meet lots of girls. That was kind of my, where now it's like I want to make really great music. And so I think I'm writing the best music I've ever written, and I'm more determined now than ever. So, one curse can become a gift if you allow it to.
So I got a question for you. If you can see sounds, like you say, how do you handle being in a room or with a bunch of crowded area with a bunch of people?
It sucks. It sucked before. It really sucks now, because I guess I'll give you the before. So like when I would be in school, the reason I was bad at testing and stuff is I couldn't concentrate. You got all these people around you in this quiet room breathing, and then old school, Scantrons, pencil and fill in the blank, multiple choice stuff. I could hear all of it going on, and then doors opening, closing. It would just drive my mind crazy. And if I'd go into a loud place, I would wear earplugs often to dampen what's around me, because it would drive me crazy. Because then you've got all these colors, all these sounds. The picture is like, if you took like a bunch of crayons and just went like this with them, it's kind of what it looked like. It's undiscernible. So now, picture me in a public place. You're in a restaurant, and there's a lot of reverb, and there's people. Now, not only is that happening, but it's all, lopsided, because I'm, just pretty much deaf on this side. and I have to like read lips most of the time. So people will just be talking to you and I'm like all over the place. Like my mind's going crazy and they're like just having a conversation and I'm like, uh-huh. But then you can't hear everything they're saying because I'm disabled. So I've had to really learn to read lips. Like right now, this is okay because I've got, this earphone in and I'm just ignoring what's going on over here. So, but I still have this one in, so it sends those frequencies in because I have this side turned up with the actual hertz and stuff. So it's a challenge. It really sucks. That's the best way I can say it. But then you look at someone in a wheelchair and it ain't that bad, or someone who's blind, it ain't that bad, but it is hard.
Well, now if people want to look you up online, find your music, how do they do that on social media?
Well, let's see, my Facebook would be ericoberto.official. Instagram is eric.oberto. My website, which is just getting redone right now, so it looks cooler now, and more information is being added. That's just ericoberto.com. IMDb, if you want to look up what I'm doing film-wise, that's just look up my name, Eric Oberto. And you could even Google me, and a bunch of shit comes up. That's the ones I'm using the most right now. Bandcamp, Eric Oberto, anything like that. Pretty much look my name up, and you'll find it.
Awesome. I want to ask, there's some bands you'd like to collaborate with in the future?
Yes, that's a pretty long list. I mean, there's kind of going back to my childhood. I mean, my first electronic music hero is really Bill Lieb, Frontline Assembly. I would love to work with that guy. I mean, in my opinion, a lot of people will say Skinny Puppy, and I love Skinny Puppy, but to me, Frontline Assembly is the most prolific, Bill Lieb being the most prolific artist ever. He's got more albums in circulation than anyone. So he's huge on my list of someone I want to collaborate with. I'd like to collaborate with Eric Gustafson a little more, like writing a song. He's about to move to Canada. I don't know if you know that. Yeah. So just we start working together, he moves. But we already have plans for to meet up probably in March. And I'd like to write something with him. I like the vibe he has going on. And I think it would just be a cool thing because we came together so well in that music video. It was like controlled chaos. We were just in it together the whole way. So I think that'll translate well into music. And then the remix he did for me was great. But, if I also had another childhood, Paul Stanley from Kiss. I would love to work on something with Paul Stanley from Kiss. That guy, he's amazing. He's just been my hero forever and ever. And he's deaf in one ear too. I don't know if you know that. He was born without the outer part of, I think his left or his right ear, and he's completely deaf. And he's been doing music this whole time. So I think we'd have a lot to talk about while writing. And there's probably a huge other list as well. But off the top of my head, those are the names that pop right up.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to what you have coming up in the future. It's great having you, and everybody look him up.
Yeah, please do. And 2022, is that where we're going? It's going to be a big year. I'm going to try to put out an album's worth of singles this year, including some films. But then when it's all said and done, I'm going to do some vinyl releases, like compilations of the singles and stuff. And if you like what's going on so far, get ready because I have got a shit ton more coming.
How do you balance your time with the music and the acting? Do you set like a time period aside, or just what you're feeling? Or?
Yeah, so like I try to adhere to a schedule, a calendar. It's hard for me. I'm kind of just like a wild rabid animal, so it's hard for me to do that. But right before this, I clocked in about 2.5 hours of script writing for the movie Sleep. And then before that, I was doing social media promotion for about an hour. I think the key for anyone out there trying to do a bunch of stuff or just any stuff is just, put the times on a calendar, whether it's digital or analog, but give yourself a certain amount of time. And when you hit the end of that time, just stop, save where you are, and move to the next thing. It's easier said than done, but if you're trying to take on a lot of stuff, I don't think there's any other way you can do it.